So my name is Jessica. I am uh, I like to say, recovered alcoholic and addict. I will be celebrating, hopefully by God's grace, 5 years sober, June 20th of this year. I am 8 months pregnant. I am a stay-at-home mom with my 16-month-old, and I go to school at night for teaching. I'm married to someone in this program. We bought a house out here in Smithtown last year. And I really just say all that stuff because, like, if you knew, like, where I came from 5 years ago, I should have really been dead. But, because of this program and the work I put into it and continue to, I'm here today. My second kid, when they told me I couldn't, they actually told me I wouldn't be able to have kids. So, okay, but so I, going through this process, have learned a lot about myself, and I know that I was an alcoholic way before I picked up the drink. Even as a kid, I never felt like I belonged. I played soccer and I danced. I was a straight A student. I think because I'm smart, also because my mother was kind of like a tyrant. Excuse me, but on the teams and dancing and stuff, I was very shy. I was awkward, and I did get made fun of, and I didn't really know why. I don't know. I think kids can be cruel. I had glasses. I had braces. You go through a weird stage, but I wasn't the type of person to fight back. I was, and still am, a crier, very sensitive, super sensitive, and my mom used to always yell at me, like, "Why are you crying?" And so I always felt like I was doing something wrong when I was crying, when really it's just, a reaction to an emotion. But, my mom is an addict as well. My father was an alcoholic. He's been sober 15 years, 16 years. But even without the alcohol and the drugs, my mom wasn't very active when I was younger. She was just crazy. So it was just craziness. There was a lot of, my parents always fought. They physically fought. They verbally fought. There was always tension in the house. I'm the oldest of four. Me and my sister are 18 months apart, and then there's a big age gap. So when the younger two came, I got into the role of mom. Took care of them at like 9 and 11 years old. I was. It's a lot of responsibility on top of everything else, and I was very happy when my parents finally decided to get divorced when I was 16. They used to threaten it all the time. But, so I danced, I played soccer, and I was a straight A student. When I got into junior high school, I met some people who didn't do what I did. And, they hung out, they smoked cigarettes. So I started learning how to smoke cigarettes in the school playground. I started smoking pot. I started cutting class. I went from a soccer player, dancer, and kind of just a homebody to cutting class, smoking pot, lying, manipulating, writing notes and stuff, and I ran away from home a few times, and I would have panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and I just didn't know why. It was a really rough time for a couple of years, but I don't remember like the first drink that I took. I think we used to sneak it at family like holiday parties and stuff like that too. But I remember like the first time I felt that feeling that that euphoria, and then I thought it was happiness. I thought I was finally happy. Like, this is what made me happy. Like, taking this drink. And I didn't worry about what was going on at home. I didn't care about people making fun of me. I didn't care about school and my parents fighting. I felt great. And the alcohol gave that to me. So I chased that feeling. From the beginning, I never drank socially. I never understood why people did, because I drank to get that feeling, So if you weren't going to drink to get drunk and, feel that, then why even waste it, That's how I always thought. So I drank as fast and as much as I could to get that feeling, and I became a blackout drunk right away. Oh my God, it went from 0 to 100 really fast. So it was 16. I was in my first rehab at 17, and that was because my mom just had enough. She couldn't. I don't think anybody knew what was going on. I didn't. But basically, it was to stay in my house. I had to go to rehab. I signed myself in. I don't know if I thought I was going to quit then, but I knew it probably wasn't normal that I was in rehab. None of my other friends were. But it didn't really matter, I would do things when I was drunk. My friends would tell me, and in the beginning it was funny. And after a while, it started to be really embarrassing because it just kept happening. Stupid stuff I did, or hooking up with guys I don't even remember. It's embarrassing. It was, and after a while, I would be like, if I don't remember it, it didn't happen. And I would just push all that stuff down deeper and deeper, and that guilt, shame, and remorse. I didn't realize it at the time, but, it was building up. And that was when I was 16. I didn't get sober until I was 28. So a lot of years of that. They talk about in AA, they talk about the life being unmanageable. I didn't think my life was unmanageable. I graduated high school. I took my SATs hungover, and I got better scores than people that studied, and so I took a lot of things for granted. I did, but I didn't care at the time. I just wanted to escape, and I did. I held down a job for the most part. I bartended and I waitressed. I started doing coke as well when I was 17, and that helped with the blacking out. It just took a little bit longer. I could drink more. So I did that for a while. And it fit the lifestyle. The bartending, the waitressing, the coke, the alcohol. And it was so easy back then. I was young. If I lost a job, or I didn't show up a couple times, and I had to find a new one, it was pretty easy. I lived in Bayside at the time. I worked at almost every bar up and down Bell Boulevard. Didn't see anything wrong with it. Then I met somebody when I was 21. I actually knew him from a couple years back, going to the clubs and stuff like that, and I didn't really think much of him. Thought he was kind of an asshole, to be honest. I don't know why that attracted me to him at the time, but I think it was because I had such low self-esteem and no real self-respect for myself at that point that, you know, it was like, I guess you want what you can't have. But it was someone who liked the same things I did. Alcohol and cocaine. And partying. So it was like a match made in heaven. So I thought, and it was like 6 years of a crazy spiral. It was like crazy cycles, we would get out of control, we would try to stop, or, sometimes instead of drinking, I would just smoke pot, and I would get depressed, and then I go back to drinking, and, he still lived at home. I always had my own place. He cheated on me the first year we were together. I found out about it, and it still didn't. I just put up with stuff that I would never put up with now. But like I said, I had no self-respect at the time, and I thought that was the best I could do. Because all that guilt, shame, and remorse that I had in me, I really felt like I was like the biggest piece of shit. And I really believed that, I didn't have much faith, in God. Like, I just knew that God was like a punishing God, and, just from like what I knew from growing up. If you did this, you're going to hell. If you do that, you're going to heaven. So I figured, well, I'm going to hell anyway. So I really felt like God made me an alcoholic and an addict, and that's how I was going to die. So I went to countless rehabs and detoxes. A lot of the times I did go to rehab because I wanted help, but a lot of the times it was because my body just had enough, and the people around me had enough, and I just had to like take a break, and I couldn't stop on my own. I really couldn't. And like 28-day programs were great for me. Like, I was a straight A student again, I really believe, like, if you hook me up to a lie detector test, like I would pass it. If you asked me if I was going to drink again, and I would tell you no, like, I'm never going to drink again. And I would pass the lie detector test because I really didn't want to. But it was like the 29th day, like when I got out of rehab, and I had to they put me back out in the real world, and I didn't know how to deal. Like, I just didn't know how to deal with people. I didn't know how to deal with situations. I didn't know how to really take care of myself. I didn't know how to be like a member of society. I just knew how to drink and find the people that did that, Whenever I hung out with people, once they would start to like be like, maybe I think you're drinking like too much, or like start looking at me like that, I would find people that was worse than me to hang out with, excuse me. I don't know, it was a crazy 6 years, a lot of fighting, a lot of physical fighting, a lot of, no, I don't know, I thought I was in love. I think it was a lot of codependency at the time too, because I alienated my friends, I alienated my family, And they always helped me when I wanted to go, when I had enough and I wanted to go back to detox or rehab. They would take me, and they would pay my phone bill, or it got to a point where they would never give me cash anymore or anything. But I always manipulated. I always found a way to get what I needed. Drugs or alcohol, if I was working or not. I don't know how I did it, but I just did it. When I was 28, I had like no more rope to hang myself with. I was hanging out with my mom, who was active at the time. She showed me how to smoke crack. I blacked out that night, and all I remember is waking up in the hospital, handcuffed to a hospital bed, with hospital scrubs on. One of the cops was there, and I'm like, why is this cop being so mean to me? And this other lady cop said, well, you need him in the balls. I apparently fought him on my mom's lawn, in a robe. Just a robe. And, I don't know, she called the cops on me or something. I don't know. I don't remember any of it. The judge released me because I really had no record. I had gotten a DWI when I was 21. I blew up. Oh, I forgot to tell that story too. But I blew like a .26, which was like over 3 times the legal limit, and I thought I was fine. But this is just how crazy my drinking was. And I left the hospital, or the precinct, in Hempstead, no shoes, just hospital scrubs. I had some money, and I went right to the liquor store. No shoes, nothing. Right to the liquor store, got on a bus, don't remember what happened, blacked out, ended up in Jamaica Hospital. This is like how I lived my life at the end. It was just craziness. And finally, I had nowhere to go. I really needed a fresh start. I had nowhere to live, even at the time. And my mom had told me about a TC, a therapeutic community, upstate. So you do like 6 months, in like a rehab, it was supposed to be like, and then they put you in like sober housing, and start over again. So I agreed to it, but I lived dirty up there too. I like sold cigarettes, and I felt like a drug dealer, really. Selling cigarettes, trying to make money up there. I didn't get anything that I needed, and it was my own fault. I just wanted to do my time, and it was voluntary. It's not like it was mandated there. A lot of the people were. Just craziness. I ended up leaving, coming back down to New York. My boyfriend at the time wanted nothing to do with me, and I went even more on a rampage. So basically, I had met some people in AA when I had come to AA, a few years prior, and I found them, and they had sent me down to South Carolina to another program. So it wasn't like a state-run program, which I'm not knocking them. It's just they didn't really like introduce the book of Alcoholics Anonymous to me, the program. They emphasized good things, about going to meetings and sponsor and stuff like that. But going to meetings never kept me sober. It wasn't until I got into this book. So in South Carolina, it's called the Owl's Nest. I went down there. First 2 weeks, it's called the blackout period. Like, you can't use the phone. You have to read the book from cover to cover. And I started reading the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I swore that this book was like written about me. I started working with a sponsor down there. I started believing in some kind of higher power other than myself. I'm really believing, almost 100%. I didn't stay sober. I did get a job down there. I had resentments. I ended up leaving there, getting on a train, drinking to oblivion, coming back up, and like one or two people that I had in this program, never turned their back on me, and one of them's my husband now. And at the time, he let me stay on his couch, and hooked me up with people, with a sponsor, back up here in New York, because I had nobody else. Like, my family wanted nothing to do with me, and with good reason. It was 12 years I did this, but he never gave up on me, and there was no ulterior motive. So I got a good foundation up here. I got a good sponsor. I went through my steps in the first 4 months. I started sponsoring a couple women at 6 months. Somebody asked me to sponsor them, and my life started to change. My thinking started to change. My attitude, and I was so grateful. And I don't even remember when it was that I realized that I hadn't thought about a drink, because I used to get up, I was that person who got up drinking, I had to have alcohol there, and I don't remember. I remember thinking about it one day, oh my God, I don't even remember the last time I thought about drinking, and it was like a miracle. It really was. I couldn't go a few hours without drinking or thinking about it, so it was amazing. And I got a job. After a year or so, I started going back to school. My good friend, who's now my husband, we started dating. And it was so different because we were best friends. It was so different than that crazy relationship I was in before. And, to not be judged, and that's what a lot of people, a lot of these people in this program have become my family and still are. My first sponsor, her husband actually married us. And she's going to be the godparents of my second child. Up until recently, probably a little bit after having my son, I went to meetings every day, and, I think I said previously, meetings didn't keep me sober. They didn't keep me sober. I needed everything of the program. I needed, they say, all three sides of the triangle. I needed the fellowship, which is the meetings. I needed the unity. I needed the recovery. I needed the 12 steps. I needed people, and I needed to be sponsoring people. I have to have all of that. Right now, I really don't get to many meetings, so I stay on the phone. I stay in touch with people on the phone. I do commitments. I met a couple people out here. I've done the commitment at St. Charles, the rehab and detox out here, which is, it's like a quick dose of reality for me, because I'm sitting on the other side now. I was in detox all the time, and I remember the first time I spoke, it was surreal to me, to be sitting on the other side of the chair. The gratitude, my life, like I said, I really shouldn't be here. The situations I put myself in, as a female especially, thank God, I'm healthy today. I didn't catch anything, and I didn't, I didn't hurt anybody out there. Thank God I really didn't drink and drive. It was like that one time I did, and then I didn't have a car. So I didn't drive. So thank God, because I definitely would have killed myself or somebody else. And I'm so grateful. And that's how I know too that I have something up there watching over me. I used to call it like coincidences. And when I started really in the beginning of my sobriety, I would see these things happen and I'd be like, there's no way like that's a coincidence. And I still sponsor girls. It's a little bit harder because I don't go to so many meetings now, but it's just a little moment in time. It's because I have my kids, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm able to be a friend today. I'm able to be a sister and a daughter, and not want anything out of anybody. And I thought for a long time, like, I had to look at myself, really, going through the steps and stop blaming everybody else. And I remember, like, I had a lot of resentment towards my mom, and, I didn't really see how I was selfish. Like, I didn't see, like, how I didn't want anything from her, like, materialistic. I didn't want, but I did. I wanted love, and I did things expecting that in return. And when I didn't get it, then I was hurt. So, I try to live today like not expecting anything from anybody, So, it doesn't work all the time, but I'm aware of it today, and that's because of this program and the people in this program, and practicing these principles in all my affairs. And I told my husband the other day, like, my 16-month-old son he just throws tantrums now, and I'm like, thank God I'm sober, because if I wasn't sober, like, you'd be coming home to a drunk wife every night. I would not be able to, I wouldn't have the capability to handle any of this stuff, And I'm much stronger today, and I don't regret anything. I used to regret everything. My husband knows my story. It's embarrassing, with the guys and stuff, but it is what it is, and it made me who I am today, and I can't be anything but grateful, because, like I said, this is borrowed time. Like, this is a second life for me. This is a complete second life that I didn't think I was going to be able to live, and I'm living it today. And I lost a lot of people. There's a lot of people, pictures around in this room even. My first year sober, I lost like 7 friends in the rooms to heroin and stuff. Thank God I never got into that, but my job is to, like it says, get sober and help somebody else achieve sobriety. And it's not about me anymore. It's about spreading the message. So I'm really grateful that you asked me to do this. Family members, I would definitely say Al-Anon helped, even in my sobriety. Dating someone in the program, even the Al-Anon meetings really helped. Someone who's still active right now, I would say the first thing is to get into a detox, get into a program. There are so many out there. You really don't need money or insurance. They hook you up with that. And I would say really get into this program. Like, get a sponsor, get to a meeting right away. They say they're suggestions, but I took them as like rules. These people are suggesting it because it's your choice. It's your choice whether or not you want to do this. It's, you don't get sober just by like a light shining on you. There is work that has to be done. but anybody can do it, you know. I would say stick with the positive people, um, and just do what they say. You know, get through this work and really find out where all that the guilt, shame, and remorse is coming from. Really, because that's really why I know for me and a lot of other people. That's why, you know, I couldn't sit in my own skin for a long time. That's why I would just go back out and drink because I didn't know how to deal with anything, you know. But there's a way out. I mean, if you saw the way I was living, you know, walking out of the jail with no shoes on, you know, going to cop, and now, you know, by the grace of God, I own a house. I have 2 kids. I have a husband that loves me. You know, stay-at-home mom, and I still get to sponsor people. You know, anybody. If I can do it, anybody can do it.